Hey guys, it's RebeccaOberstadt. In today's video, I'm actually doing my first impression. I did not record sound, and I'm sure, as you can tell by my voice, I'm not doing too great. But I had this edited, and I've spent the last 3 days in and out of bed sleeping due to a nasty migraine, and I needed to get this finished. This is the Nomad Cosmetics Fire and Ice palette, or the Iceland palette. The first shade I start off with is Musk Lime. It is the middle shade in the very middle of the palette, and this is a BH brush that I am using. I have used this color since, and I had issues with it, and I think it was due to dry eyelids, because using it here I didn't really have any issues. Also, this video is all real time, 100% real time. You see me applying it as slowly as I do. All of the blending, everything is left in. And you know, the video was like 30 something minutes long before I cut out every time you saw top of my head, side of my head, that kind of thing. So this shows you actual real-time footage. Now, going into the shade above that, that is Hecla. It is a lighter orange shade, and that is an SL Miss Glam brush that I got from an Ipsy. It's, I guess they make the glitter handled ones just for Ipsy, but it seems to work pretty well, and I use that to blend out the top line for the Muspelheim. Muspelheim? Yeah, I think that's how you pronounce it. I've seen several people mispronounce or pronounce things in this palette very awkwardly, so I try and remember that Iceland is kind of a Germanic language, so I have to take that into consideration. And how they mispronounce Valkyries, I have no idea, but people do. You know, it's white people trying to pronounce things from other countries. It's very sad. But I'm just blending out that first orange shade, top and bottom. And if you look, I kind of connect the two on the outer edge as I'm blending. Now, this is a really neat shade. This is Odin. It's like a blue, but it's gray. So it's what my dad, I think, called a cornflower blue, but cornflower blue is more blue than this. But this is a really interesting gray that has a blue undertone to it. It's a really neat shade, and it's a matte. The other two shades were also matte shades. And, you know, I'm thinking fire, volcanoes. What are the colors that you're going to see from that? You're going to see like the red and the orange, and then as the lava cools, then you're going to see, you know, the bright black, and then more gray as you go further out away from where the actual lava is. So that was what I thought of when I did this look, was actual lava flow. Now, I live in Florida. We don't have volcanoes here, thankfully. We have everything else. That shade is called Dark Castles. It looks black. It is not black. It's like a dark gray with a brown undertone, and it's funny, putting it on my eye, it almost looks a little red, but it's a really interesting shade. It's really a super dark grayish brown, or brownish gray, whichever you prefer to call it. And I'm putting this down as a base for other colors. I'm going to be going over this with something else. If it does look a little patchy, that's because I do put other things over it. But I try and get it put down as well as I can at first, but I don't want it like super dark looking because of what I'm planning on putting over it. And I'm just meeting it up with that Muspelheim shade. And if anybody is from Iceland or speaks a Germanic language and you pronounce it differently, spell it out phonetically for me in the comment section, so I know how to pronounce it properly. I do not want to be one of those awkward white YouTubers who mispronounces things and then just is like, oh well, I screwed up. No, I would like to learn. Hello, camera? Oh, there you go. Now I am going back in and I'm adding that Muspelheim shade in just a little bit more to punch it up just a little bit, because as I added the dark castle shade, I noticed that I lost a little bit of the vibrancy from it. Plus I wanted to be able to blend that line just a little bit better. And for once the camera isn't focusing on the door. Fingers crossed. And if you look, I'm doing little short strokes trying to apply this color down. Oh, I tried to focus on the door for a minute and then it was like, nope, okay. And it's funny, if you look where those two shades meet, it also looks a little bit more red. And then I'm putting it right up against my lower lash line again, just to punch it up there just a little bit as well. And I do go in with an orange liner from ColourPop to make it stand out a little bit more. This was my dark and scary eye. I've used this palette quite a bit since, and the other day I ended up using quite a few of these shades in another look, not realizing that I used these colors when I first got the palette, and I did another look doing them different directions. So instead of going up kind of like a sunset eye, I did them from the inner corner to the outer corner in segments that way. And I had all kinds of issues that day, and I now have dry scaly patches on part of my eyelid since doing that eye look. So I really do think it was my eyelid that I had issues with. I really am enjoying how these mattes blend. Everything I've put on my eyes so far is a matte shade. There are a couple of satins in this palette that I have found, or shadows that look satin on the lid. Now this shade is stunning. It is the shade Hell. That's a little Morphe brush. I wish I could find that type of brush from another brand because I hate having anything Morphe related on my channel. But this is a gorgeous like shimmery red shade, but if you look at it as it shifts, it has other colors that sparkle through it. And then the next shade that I go around it with, kind of creating a halo within a halo, I didn't realize it was the color it was. It looks kind of like a gray in the pan, and it looks different on the eye. This one here, this is Gallows Lava. It looks gray in the pan to me. And then I put it on, I'm like, whoa, where'd the green come from? It has green shimmer in it, and it does shift. And it's funny, if you look at the red in the center now that I'm a little bit more sideways, it looks a little bit more orange. And this grayish shade, this Gallows Lava, it really is like a gray base with you know, with green in it, and I'm just kind of blending over the edges of everything with my finger, just making sure everything packs down nicely. Isn't that kind of neat though? I mean, you can definitely see the green when I shift, but it looks gray when I'm looking straight on. Now, this is a Cartagena palette. I cheated. I didn't just strictly use this palette, but there wasn't anything the right shade to do this with, and please excuse Bob meowing in the background. It's 3:20 in the morning when I'm editing this, so hey, I'm awake. My head doesn't hurt for the first time in like 3.5 days. You gotta give it to me. But look at that. And of course the Cartagena palette is still a Nomad palette, so I didn't cheat too bad. And I used that Marigold liner from ColourPop, which is from the Raw Beauty Christie collab with them, because it's more of a orangey based yellow. And I think this looks really nice. I like it. I really do like how this look turned out. And of course it makes my blue eyes look really crazy. Now this shade is also a matte. It's Nord or Najord, which would be incorrect. It's Nord. It is also a gray based blue. It's like a really pretty lighter, almost like a robin's egg blue, but it has a little bit more gray in it. And that I'm using that SL Miss Glam brush again. And it's funny, the color combinations on the brushes as I get towards the end, because I'm color switching them in between, turns out to be quite a very untasteful, like a disgusting color on the brush. But I mean, it works really well with the shadow. I wanted to do something blue and icy on this one to bring, you know, fire on the one lid and ice on the other. So that's why I went with blue for this side. And I'm just swooshing back and forth, back and forth. And this is a really nicely pigmented shade too, and it doesn't even look like I've used it. There I'm going back into Odin again because it is that gray base blue, but if you look at it next to the Nord shade, it looks very similar now that they're blended out. One is just a little bit more gray than the other. There's Spike meowing now. Boys, shut up. Cats. I don't know why at 3 o'clock in the morning every day they decide that it's time to stand in the kitchen and meow their damn head off. If anybody can explain that to me, please let me know, because I'd like to understand that. Now, with this shade, the Odin shade next to the Nord shade, it looks more of a satin on the lid. Look at how putting it next to the other matte shade, it looks more like it has a sheen to it. It's not a satin. Oh, this is a stunning shade. This is River Glacier. This is a stunningly icy blue white. Oh my god, I could wear this color as a highlighter every day for the rest of my life and be perfectly happy wearing it. It is a little on the chunky side. It's also kind of sheer, but as a highlighter I also think it would be gorgeous. It also works super well at transforming matte shades, so if you have a matte shade on your lid and you pop this over it, it takes that matte shade to like iridescent, oh my godness. It just really transforms that the shade underneath of it to be next level. Now this shade here is called Elves. It looks green and gray in the pan, and if you look you can see the green shimmer on my lid. It's also very, very sheer, but you can build it up. And because I was working with a lot of the gray or blue-gray shades, that's why I decided to go with this one instead of God's Waterfall, which is more of a blue. But look at how pretty that is. And I do build it up a little bit more, and then of course I press over it with my finger, and I find that when I press over shadows with my finger, it really makes them stand out. Now there's the God's Waterfall shade I just mentioned. It does look more blue, but again, it's like a gray. Look at that. It looks gray going over the Odin shade, and it's really neat. If you put this over white, it looks blue. If you put it over gray, it looks gray. If you put it over a blue, it looks like a bluish gray. It's really kind of a neat shade. So that, I mean, I really do find it neat when shadows transform based on what is underneath of them. And again, sorry for being a little too close to the bottom. I did not zoom in any of this footage. All of this footage is how it was recorded. I was this zoomed in when I was recording, so that was my bad when I was filming. And then I'm just tapping back over with the Elves shade. I really do enjoy Nomad palettes, and they have another one coming out in February. Well, it is February, it's the 1st right now that I'm editing this. On the 11th, they're having another release. This just came out January 11th, so I'm like, what? Another one this soon? But this was pushed back from like October or November. So now this is the Niflheim shade. It is got a cute little sorry, I was watching myself for a minute. It has a cute little elf imprint in it, and it's super cute. Now I did end up getting this brush wet about halfway through. This is another little BH liner brush, and I think it's from the gold brush collection. I have 2 brush collections that I bought from Elf Cosmetic, or not Elf, BH Cosmetics. One of them is like the gold handled one, and the other one is just the black handled one. To be honest, I use both of them interchangeably, so I never know which one is which, but I can tell by the gold ferrule on it that that's what this is. Now, you can see my brush is a little bit wet. I'm just trying to get a sharper line there. And I wanted to bring some of that blue back in. This is more of a cobalt blue. It's like a blue with a grayish base to it, and I think it brings some depth to the look, but it also brings a little bit more blue back to the look as well, because it got really gray really quick. But if you guys know what snow looks like near lava, I've only seen pictures because I've only been in snow literally, physically, once my entire life. I mean, I've seen snow in Florida, but it wasn't like real snow because it melted before it hit the ground. So that's not real snow, is it? So anyways, looking at pictures of snow near lava, it is grayish blue looking, so that's why I went with this color story. First impressions, I really like this palette. I've used it a bunch since I've gotten it, and hopefully you guys enjoy this video. I will see you in another one very soon. Have a fantastic day or night wherever you are, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.